welcome back to the channel. Trust you guys are really doing great. If this is your first time coming across this channel, I'm Chinwe. Thank you guys for really coming to watch my videos. I really do appreciate. And to my new subscribers, thank you for being part of the family. So in today's video, let's look at racism. I watched one video today and I was really happy. It's like racism is dying off. But do you think it's dying off or it's just the situation at that moment? Okay, let's see the video. After seeing it, then we'll talk about it.
Fuck down. You're not allowed to do that. You don't start. He's like. Hands off! No! Not touch him! Not touch him! Dude, Abe really isn't here today. I'm kind of.
You have seen the video. A black coming to defend the white. Do you think racism is dying out, or is just the situation they find themselves at that particular moment? But personally, I think it's supposed to be dying off. Reason because those generations that witnessed all slavery, all of that have gone and passed away long time ago. What we are hearing now is history. History keep revisiting it. So we are not supposed to listen or work on those things history said. We are supposed to, put some amendments and take up some. Okay, before we continue, let's look at some reactions of some TikTokers on what they have to say about it.
Can you be racist to white people? Controversial, but yeah, I think you can be racist to white people. By definition. Why is this controversial? Like literally, if you look up racism, it's prejudice, discrimination, or antagonization of a group based on their race. If you say all white people are greedy or all white people steal things, which are some things that I've actually heard, that's a form of racism. Now, hold on. Before you cancel me and call me a pick-me, you can't be systematically or systemically racist to white people in America, because systematic and systemic racism is due to slavery and the police force. That's in our nation's history. But just because there isn't systematic racism towards white individuals, because white individuals do have advantages on things like job applications, that's just a fact. Just because they can't experience racism in that way doesn't mean they can't be discriminated against for their race. In fact, by saying, oh yeah, you can't be racist to white people, that is in itself a form of racism. I honestly don't think this should be considered that controversial. Hope this helps.
Why are black people and white people getting along so much these days? It has nothing to do with the fact that racism is dying. It has nothing to do with that. More white kids in this era is listening to black music. More white kids in this era is looking at sports, which is dominated by black people. White people in this era is going to school with black people. White people in this era is going to the playground with black people. White people in this era is playing the video games with black people, you feel me? So as the decades and decades passes on, you see a slight decrease in the ignorance on the street. So for example, right now it's better than it was in the 2010s, and in the 2010s is better than it was in the 2000s, and in the 2000s it was better than it was in the 90s, etc., etc., etc. Because remember, back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and all of that, you was walking outside and these people were spitting on you, calling you the N-word and all of that. There was no going to school together. There was no playing in the park together or any of that. So the brainwashing is slowly dying, because now you got these white kids like, wait, they talking to their great-grandfathers who's trying to force this ignorance down them. And they're like, nah, I listen to black people's music. I watch black people play sports. I go to the park with black people. See what I'm saying? So it's slowly dying down, because the kids in this era is growing up differently from what their great-grandfathers grew up in and their parents grew up in. So that's why you even see a lot of stories when white people's parents or grandparents would try to force ignorance down them, and they're going to be like, nah, I don't want to be like that. This is a new time. I listen to their music. I play the game with them. I go to the park with them. This is why you're seeing it die a little bit. You're seeing the ignorance die more and more. With that being said, that doesn't change racism at all because we're still dealing with systematic racism. Because this is the twist. Just because I could go to school with white people or play the game with white people or go to the park with white people, etc., doesn't mean racism is ending. It doesn't mean it ended. This is why so many people pass over racism like it's a light problem, because they are brainwashed to an extent. Oh, we could go to school with each other, but the cops are still beating my people on the street. Oh, we could go to school together, we could go to the park together, we could play the game together, but there's still a system holding us down. That's the twist. Don't get it twisted. You're seeing the ignorance on the street die down. You're not seeing racism itself die down. Racism is still as bad as it was back then in the 30s and the 20s. Nothing changed. Understand what racism really means and not what you was told to believe it really.
You heard what he said? He said that whites, blacks playing together, going to college together, watching soccer together does not really mean that racism have ended. Okay, let's still hear more. Let's hear more reactions.
I don't even think that you believe that. And a piece of me really thinks that y'all don't know what racism is. Calling a white person a male monkey is not racist. Is it insulting? Yes. Racist? No. What a lot of y'all are forgetting to understand is that racism is about power. Racism and power go hand in hand. We all know that black people do not have more power than white people. Now, can black people be prejudiced? Yes. Black people can say insulting and disrespectful things to white people, but to say that black people are more racist than white people is just illogical. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, white people will always have that power over black people. They will always have that privilege. You don't even need to pick up a book to know that. It's literally smack dead in all of our faces.
You hear what she said? She said at the end of the day, white people must have their power over black people. That means it's a total racism situation. Okay, let's continue. Let's hear more.
If you haven't seen the video I stitched, you need to go see it. It's bad. I thought it was satire at first, because we've seen a lot of that here on TikTok here lately. People pretending to be liberal, pretending to be, conservative, Trump followers, Biden followers, all kind of shit like that. I thought she was joking, but then I looked at a few of her other posts that she put on there. No, this woman's racist as hell. Racist as hell. Especially against white women, it seems. So I'm thinking there might be something behind that. And yes, black people can be racist towards white people. It's not just a white person thing. All races can be racist, and she is racist.
You hear what he said? He said white people can be a racist to black people, and black people can be a racist to white people. You believe that? Who is more powerful? Is it the black against the white, or the white against the black? Let me hear your view on that. Let's hear more reactions.
Why are you trying to be oppressed? The system was made in your favor.
Ignorance like this is what keeps racism alive. Yes, there is such thing as racism against white people. Racism is not skin color deep. It is about believing that your race is more superior than another's. Therefore, you are going to put down and belittle another race. The system is not in any particular person's favor. The law is written the way it is. You are allowed a black president just as much as a white president. It doesn't really matter the skin color, just about the content of the person. Stop judging the people based on the skin color and the content, and start basing more on the content of the person. This would be a more beautiful planet if we can all admit that there is racism on both sides, and we need to stop the racism and stop the hate. Oppression? Just go look at the sun? Really?
How do you think the racism can be stopped completely? Are you sure, or do you think it can be possible?
I don't want white people to remember what their ancestors did. I mean, I know black people every day, learn about their enslaved ancestors, but white people shouldn't be reminded that their ancestors were the ones that enslaved the black people. I just don't like calling out racism. Like, if my burger is undercooked at a restaurant, I will for sure call out the manager, but racism, it's not that big of a deal. I would rather make a person of color feel uncomfortable any day over holding a white person accountable. Are you serious? Making a white person uncomfortable? You're so rude. Have a heart. I don't really care if white people understand racism. I know that black people are the ones that end up getting affected, or just POC in general, but it's not a white person's job to understand it. It makes me super uncomfortable when people voice other people's wrongdoings. I totally understand if someone cuts you off on the road and you cuss out their mom and dad. Duh, that's so valid. But really, you expect white people to understand? We've done so much for the black community. I don't understand. What is racism? Racism is saying the N-word and not giving a job because of their race. That's it. It's nothing deeper.
So, how do you think this racism will be stopped? Or how do you think it can die off forever? After all, there is no biological difference between two people. Everybody is equal. The only difference is the color, culture, language. Apart from that, everyone is equal. So how do you think racism can be stopped, and stopped forever? Please let me know, and let me hear from your comment section how you think it can be abolished and kicked off. So guys, this is the end of the gist. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please just hit that red button so that you'll be part of the family, and so that you'll be getting more of this gist. See you in my next video.